The Biblical Flood, Devil's Tower versus Mount Everest. Let's take a look at two examples of scientific claims that actually support the biblical flood. The very top of Mount Everest is covered in mudstone with multiple fossils in it. Mudstone has a hardness of 2. Next example I'm gonna give is just below the mudstone on Mount Everest are fossilized clams. The clams are sitting on limestone. Limestone has a hardness of 3. That's right, there is mudstone and limestone at the summit of Mount Everest, the tallest mountain in the world. Now science believers will tell you that yes, there is mudstone at the top of Mount Everest, because it used to be the ocean floor and over millions and millions of years it rose up to its current height. Let's take a look at this claim. Mudstone is a very soft sedimentary rock. In other words, it erodes away pretty fast. Now if you consider the slow rise theory, the mudstone would have been at ocean level for hundreds of years, meaning there would be hundreds of years of waves crashing into it. Sedimentary rocks such as mudstone and limestone would rapidly dissolve away over hundreds and hundreds of years of waves crashing into it.
And what about mudslides? Mudslides removes the mudstone. This is mudstone marching down the mountain. It doesn't stay up there for very long. This is how nature works.
Look what's going on!
You see? Check that car. The left.
Oh my god!
Woo! Woo!
I would like you to take note of the amount of dirt in that water. It is black. This is erosion 101.
We probably want to just stay.
We should probably make it on the right. Oh, that pole's blocking now.
It's gonna stuck.
Oh my god!
Trust me. Don't go anywhere yet.
I want to get out.
No, don't.
Because it's not coming out this side though.
No, no.
Oh, look at-
어디 찍어?
അയ്യോ ബിജു നനഞ്ഞു അവിടെ അങ്ങോട്ട് പോയല്ലോ.
Notice the crystal clear rainwater is now muddy and dirty as it flows down the river of the mountains, carrying sediment, which is called erosion.
Now take into consideration that over the next multi-million year phase of the mountain rise that this soft sedimentary mudstone survived all rain, freezing and thawing, the landslides, earthquakes, and that soft mudstone for millions and millions of years just kept pushing upward into a more and more hostile environment. Now over 60 million years later you can climb Mount Everest and still see the clams sitting on the mudstone and limestone at the very peak of this mountain, undamaged by erosion. A lot of scientific people will tell you that this would be expected and needs no further explanation. Well, let's look at argument number 2, and see if it matches argument number 1. Mount Everest mudstone peak, Devil's Tower. Exposing the tower erosion has dramatically changed the area around Devil's Tower. When the tower formed around 50 million years ago, it was 1 to 2 miles below the Earth's surface. Somewhere between 5 and 10 million years ago, erosive forces began to expose the tower. These forces, particularly that of water, carried away the sedimentary rocks above and around the tower. The harder igneous rock of the tower is more resistant to erosion, and the grey columns of Devil's Tower began to stand out above the surrounding landscape. So on the other side of the planet, 2 miles thick of sedimentary rock was completely eroded away with water in 10 million years.
Okay, so scientists state that this 2 miles of sedimentary rock was washed off the Great Plains of the United States in a period of 5 to 10 million years. 2 miles. In an area that is low altitude, not subject to avalanches or waves crashing against it, or anything along the lines that Mount Everest went through. This is just simple wind and rain erosion at low altitude. It washed away 2 miles of sedimentary rock. And where is this sedimentary rock that science claims was once there? Let's take a look. Note all the rivers merge into the one river called the Mississippi. This is the delta in the Gulf of Mexico of the Mississippi River. This in no way explains what happened to the dirt or the sedimentary rock that was washed away from the Great Plains. 2 miles thick of sedimentary rock washed away, leaving Devil's Tower exposed and leaving just this size of a delta? Scientifically impossible. There is a much better explanation for how 2 miles of sedimentary rock were washed away from an area as big as the Great Plains. And that would have been a major flood. A flood of gigantic proportions that would have washed away 2 miles of sedimentary rock and dirt and left it lying on the ocean floors instead of small deltas at the end of a river that handles all of the rainwater for the entire country.
While Mount Everest started at below sea level and rose up with no erosion over 60 million years, it feels like we are talking about two different worlds, doesn't it? Is it not odd that not a single scientist has questioned this?
Science can't question it. They have an agenda, and the agenda is an old Earth. They can't accept evidence that proves the Earth young. Yet, Devil's Tower and Mount Everest combined do just that. Now you're probably wondering, how does Mount Everest relate to Noah's flood? Here's how. I'm going to point you to the Bible, Psalms 104, 6 through 9. Okay, verse 6 of Psalms 104. You covered it with the deep as if with a garment. The water stood above the mountains. At your rebuke they fled. And the sound of your thunder they took flight. The mountains rose up, and the valleys sank down into their place that you had appointed for them. You set the boundary now that they may not pass, so that they might not again cover the earth with water. Yes, atheists will argue with you and tell you there's no way the water could have covered Mount Everest. Well, Mount Everest at that time was the bottom of the sea, and water did cover it. God pushed it up and lowered the oceans to drain the water. This is how it relates to the flood. So on one side of the world, you have Mount Everest that shows all the physical signs of being created almost instantly, like the Bible says, and all the signs that prove the scientists wrong on how Mount Everest rose up from the ocean floor. It simply could not have happened in that slow of time frame. And then on the other side of the world, we have the exposure of a lava tube type formation that supposedly was under 2 miles of sedimentary rock. Not exposed to ocean wave pounding, not exposed to high altitudes, not exposed to mudslides. This was flat land. And yet 2 miles were washed away and the sediment can't be found. This is a perfect explanation, again, for the flood. These are 2 standing monuments to Noah's flood. And science can't explain it truthfully.